Good evening, good evening. How are you guys doing? I hope that you guys are having a great evening. I wanted to, excuse me. I wanted to talk to you guys about some things. You know that as I'm led, I will comment on certain aspects of the news, excuse me. And sometimes I'll just expound on the word as I'm led by the Ruach. We have to learn things from what happens around us. I have absolutely no problem with gleaning lessons from different events that happen around us, to us. I think it's important that we learn the lesson so we don't repeat mistakes and repeat history or repeat other people's mistakes. We can learn from other people's mistakes too. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to repeat our own mistakes. That's a big no-no. We also do not want to repeat the mistakes of others. Why waste that time? Why not learn and glean wisdom from the mistakes of others? For some reason, people have a problem with judging righteous judgment and judging the events that happen to other people. And the first thing they say, well, don't judge. And who are you to judge? And, you know, all judging is discerning. Did you know that? Excuse me. Judging is not a bad thing. It is not a crime. It is not a sin. As a matter of fact, we're supposed to judge if we're spiritual, Holy Ghost spiritual. That is, because we all know there's a lot of spirits running around here, but all of them ain't holy. Anywho, and holiness ain't got nothing to do with how low my blouse is. Get your eyes off of that and listen to what I'm saying. Anywho, Bill Cosby. With all of that being said, let's talk about Bill. Bill. All right. I remember being very upset when he was convicted, arrested, found guilty of date raping multiple women throughout his career. I was disappointed because Bill Cosby was a role model for Black people, for Black men, and for the Black community. I mean, the Cosby Show was the first Black syndicate program on television that represented Black people in a prosperous educational light. It showed us what a Black family that is prosperous and educated and not criminals and not drug addicts and not pimps and hoes. It was the first time Black people saw what Black people can be on television. Up until that point, you guys, a lot of you guys, some of you people may not be old enough to remember what television was like in the 70s. Oh, yeah, I remember though. I was a little girl. And guess what? Blaxploitation films all the way. Sanford and Son. Huh? And there was a few other sitcoms, mostly. There were no serious Black weekly programs that was pumping a positive, healthy, functional message to the Black community. In the 70s, it just didn't exist. All that was available to Black people were the Blaxploitation movies. And you know who benefited off of those. Oh, those made me so mad. Do you not? I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go back to Bill. The first Blaxploitation film movie that was released. Oh my God, what's the name of them? Van Peebles. Melvin Van Peebles, the producer, actor, whatever. He produced the very first Blaxploitation film, and I believe it was like 1970. It's to kick off the 70s. The movie was something sweet, bad A, something, something, something. I don't remember exactly what the film name was, but if you go look it up on YouTube, I did watch the movie. And did you not know that he starred Mario Van Peebles, his son, his underage son? He could not have been more than 10 years old in the film. He filmed a sex scene with his 10-year-old son. I'm filming right now. Having sex with a prostitute. The opening scene of the movie that Melvin Van Peebles produced and created. The very first blaxploitation film. Sweet, Bad A, something, 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 something. It was a long, crazy name. And basically, it's about a bunch of prostitutes. Blaxploitation films, go figure. So that's what we had to struggle with and deal with in the 70s in television. So here comes the 80s. And here, Bill Cosby. The Cosby Show. So the Cosby Show is like, it was incredible. It was a milestone in television history. And it was a breath of fresh air. And then boom. After all of that, the clean comedy shows that Bill Cosby supposedly had, the acting career in terms of his movie cameos. I mean, yeah, some of his movie roles were a little bit more controversial and more stereotypical of the black man. But we are talking about black acting jobs available in the 70s. So yeah, every black actor had to take a role that they did not want to take if they want to work. Okay? They want to be put out there. And so Bill Cosby was the man. Okay? I mean, he had the Toussaint guy. I'm not saying his name correctly. Don't sue me. But I mean, a PhD from Harvard. Very smart guy. Was a consultant for the show. And it turns out that Bill Cosby was a freaking pervert that could not control himself. Even though he had a beautiful wife, beautiful supportive wife, that stuck with him and through all the ups and downs of Hollywood career, through the death, the murder of his son, Ennis. And if I'm not mistaken, I think their daughter just not too long ago passed. Yeah, they had a daughter. So she's Camille has stuck with Bill for all of this, through all of this. And I hate to say it, but she probably knew that Bill was creeping, at the very least, raping and sexually assaulting women at the very most, which I really don't doubt that it happened. I don't understand why it happened. And that's what I want to address. And maybe I can get some insight. I don't know how, because I don't leave my comments on, because I don't argue with people. I present my case and I leave it up to you to whatever. I mean, if you really want to contact me, you'll find a way. But I don't go and put myself out there so I can debate with anyone. I don't do that. Winona does not do that. Okay? I don't engage and interact with you, because most of you don't want to be presented with anything that upsets your sensibilities and your version of truth. So, anywho, why did Bill Cosby think it was a good idea with a beautiful wife to drug white women, black women, whatever women, to have sex with when they're unconscious, semi-conscious? What kind of satisfaction do you gain out of that? Like, it's not real sex, is it? If the person that you're with is not, why did he do that? It doesn't make any sense. But Camille probably knew something was going on. And that brings me to another point too. Why is it, how is it you as a wife, now I'm not just talking to Camille, I'm talking to wives that stay with their husbands knowing that they cheat, knowing that they're criminals, that they've committed sexual crimes, knowing that they're pedophiles. How do you do that? Ladies, how are you okay with that? Especially if you know that your husband is sexually molesting kids. And you stay with him for 20, 30 plus years, knowing that he's molested kids. How do you lay down in the bed with him at night and let him make love to you, knowing that he's had sex with a child, that he's used his member that he's putting in you to rip the innocence from a child and harm a child? How do you do that, ladies? I want to know. How do you do that? And then how do you equate that to any kind of love? How can you even be sexually attracted to a man that uses his member to rip open children? I'm waiting. I need to hear from a sister. What excuse do you have? What excuse do you have staying with a pervert, a freaking criminal? And guess what? It be church ladies that do it too. Y'all cover up for him and everything. How do you stay with men like that? How do you love a man like that? What is that saying about you, ladies? Are you a pervert too by proxy? Does that mean you like children because he liked children? I don't understand. I really don't understand that. Bottom line, no, all of that is extremely disturbing to me. But the bottom line, my brothers, you got to learn how to control yourselves, because when they catch you, don't think just because they haven't arrested you that they haven't caught you. The more money that you make, the more popular that you are, black man, and you're doing these things, I promise you they're setting you up for a trap. And you will go to jail, and you will be stripped. They will strip you publicly, just like they stripped the slaves at the whipping post. And we could sit here and say, it's not fair, blah, blah, blah. They don't do that to white men. They didn't do it to Harvey Weinstein, blah, blah, blah. Irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. That's totally irrelevant, my brothers. The bottom line is, you should not be taking sex from anybody. If that person ain't married to you and they're not of legal age, you don't need to be with them. You don't need to be thinking about them. You don't need to be daydreaming about them. You don't need to even do certain things to yourself while you're looking at pictures and videos of them. Because that's how that demon is fed, you know. That so-called lust demon, you build it up inside of you. You let your imagination go wild and you do these things. You feed the demon. You have to starve a demon and then cast it out. Don't give it what it wants. You may want it and you may want it bad, but it doesn't mean that it's good for you. There's nobody in the face of the earth that could tell me that it's good for you to tear open a child because you love that child. Are you out of your mind? Well, no, why are you being so negative? I'm talking about real deal stuff here. Everything that we see, we need to learn the lesson. And somebody has to be brave enough and honest enough to just tell the truth. Tell the truth about these things. And be willing to confront and say, hey, this is not okay. This is not okay. You know, this industry, that music industry and the media industry and Hollywood, they have a bunch of perverts and pedophiles. And if you don't sleep with them and you don't play along with their little sexual orgies or whatever, you can't get the contract, you can't get the deal, nothing. You won't get the role. But this is who we give all our money and time and attention to. And we don't know who these people are behind closed doors. Why are their whole entire children's sex rings among the rich and famous? Why is that okay? Because they're rich and famous? Why is it okay to rape and molest people? Because they have money? I'm not impressed that you having kids and having babies. What you plan on doing with those babies in about 10 years? That's what I want to know. Some of these people are having babies because they don't have no good intentions toward those kids. Some people want to have sex with these babies. Some people want to do some sacrifices for these children. Most High showed me that years ago. These very people that are having all these fertility rites and all these fertility rituals, and they cast it over an audience at certain yearly events, fertility rites and what have you, to make everybody else participate in fertility rites so everybody could get pregnant at the same time, because they have their rituals that they do at certain times of the year. And if they can time it just right, they can have the babies just in time to do what they want to do with them. Why do you think that human trafficking has increased? I don't know why I'm going off into all of this, because I wasn't planning on talking about all of this. But it all comes into line with brothers controlling yourselves. Control yourself. Don't feed the demon. Starve it. Let it die. Then cast it out. And don't participate in this stuff that these people be participating in, thinking it's innocent fun and it's going to gain you a contract and you're going to get you some money and you'll be a millionaire. But at what price? Money is not everything, y'all. Stop chasing after the dollar that's losing its value every day. Every day it's losing its value. But you guys chasing after it, selling your souls for it. selling your children's souls for it. Stop selling your souls for the dollar. Just stop. And I'm going to talk to these wives one more time. Wife, if you know your husband is doing dirt and doing wrong, turn that jigger in. Because you are partaking of his sin and his crime. We're going to start hearing about wives going to jail for hiding these criminals, hiding these pedophiles, hiding these sexual serial rapists and what have you. And the wives knew, and the wives covered for their husbands because they want to protect their families and their so-called marriages. We're gonna hear about it. It's going to happen because it's time out for this foolishness. I've said more than I wanted to say on here, so I better go. But brothers, zip it up. You don't get no rights just because you happen to have it. It's what you do with it. It's self-control. It's the fruit of the Spirit. Try it. It may save your life and save you a whole bunch of heartache and grief. Ask Bill. Because just because Bill got out from jail, whatever, don't mean he ain't suffer for this. But he's supposed to suffer because he did wrong. He committed a crime. You commit the crime, you do the time. And you do pay a price. Y'all have a great evening. Be safe.